Wagwan people, welcome back. It's your boy Stabio, and today I'm bringing you a Fire Fist deck, free-to-play Fire Fist deck with the new Fire Fist cards. Now, already you're going to see that I've got 2 copies of Gyoku. Now, I got that from the selection box, and I was initially quite annoyed that I gotten 2 copies in the selection box. But now that the Fire Fists have gotten support, I'm quite glad that I've got 2, because you need to. That's your back row. That's how you deal with your back row with this deck. I'm running 2 copies of Yoku, 3 copies of Tensu, 1 copy of Canadia. You got room for 1 tech card. All right, so you want to make it free to play, like 1 box. You could go. I mean, you could go to like an econ, but the thing is, Gyoku, I did get that from a different box, so I'm going to run 1 copy of Canadia, because that's going to be my tech card, my 1 free-to-play tech card. Now, I also got a prismatic gorilla when I went in on the selection box, so I'm running that because he's prismatic. If I had the cards, I would be running this guy, Leopard, but he's from another box that I haven't gone in on yet. So, and it's quite an old box, so I don't think I ever will go in on it. It's not really worth it going in for 1 super rare card or 2 copies of 1 super rare card. But if I had him, I would drop Gorilla, to be fair, and I'd also drop Boar. But I haven't got him, so we are running Gorilla and Boar. Now, Boar is quite good. He's actually a recent addition to the deck. I've got some replays for you for when I was coming up with the deck and tweaking the deck. So you're going to see it in various different stages of development. I had to run a different 2-star LAVAL tuner to do the shenanigans I wanted to do. However, the one I was running actually has some negative synergy with some of the combos, so it had to go the moment I got a second copy of Coatl, or Kotal, however you pronounce that thing. 1 copy of Bear, because he's your monster removal. He's great. You've got your 2 spell cards for monster removal, and then you've got your monster that can remove. You could do a double. You could do so many monster pops in 1 turn. It's crazy. If you've got Rooster, Bear, and these guys, I mean, honestly, you could do so many monster pops in a single turn. This isn't the most optimal way to play the deck, but it is super free to play. You only need to go in on the box once. Now, again, you might not have this, you might not have this. So you can throw in an extra copy of Yoku, you can throw in a couple of the other support cards for Fire Fist. You could throw in extra copies of Boar instead of the Gorilla. And instead of that, you know, I mean, there were other cards as well in the new box that you could run. You could run this Hawk guy. There was another one as well. This Snake you could run. You could run whatever you have, really. But I don't like running any of the other ones. And you know, these are the because, like I say, I do have some LAVAL cards in this deck. And you would probably assume that doesn't synergize well. You'd be surprised. It does have some synergy. I also run Switcheroo. Maybe it's probably not the best ability to run in this deck. You could run Mighty as Fire. You could run a couple of other skills. But I like to have Switcheroo because if I have a Rooster in my hand, but I'm able to go into a Horse Prince play, I'll want that Rooster in the deck. I'll want him in the deck in order for Horse Prince to pop. So Switcheroo is there to sort of get Rooster back in the deck, so you can get him out and special summon him with Horse Prince. So there is a reasoning for Switcheroo. Also, it does come into clutch when you have a really unlucky draw and you draw into all your back row, which is like the worst thing. We don't have any drawing power, so Switcheroo is nice. But even though we don't have drawing power, that is okay, because we are able to pull from the deck every Fire Fist spell card. Every single one we can pull from the deck as and when we need it, pretty much. So I'm going to show you some replays. Like I say, you're going to see the deck in varying different stages in development, but this is the best build that I've gotten of the deck so far, using only one box. So let's show you some replays, my boys. Alright, my guys, I'm going to show you some replays. I think I'm just going to let them play out, and you can just watch them, and then I'll see you back in a couple of minutes to talk about the deck, and maybe I'll do a live duel or two. Alright, but enjoy the replays, my guys. Thanks a lot.
back on E.
Alright, my guys, welcome back, and I hope you like the replays. I'm sure you could have spotted a couple of noticeable differences. I was running cards like Fire Resonator, but I decided to swap that out for Boar. I was running Fire Resonator instead of the Boar, but I decided to go for the Boar instead, because it meant that if I ever had Rooster out on field or Raven, then I could go into a LAVAL Stennen play. And usually by this point, I have a LAVAL in the grave. You didn't really get to see the LAVALs play in the replays, but I assure you, they are worth throwing in. If for anything, just for Stennen, you know. I mean, I was thinking maybe just drop the Dragoon or the LAVAL Dragon, but the thing is, I do like having the option to go into LAVAL Dragon or to go into LAVAL Dragoon. So obviously Coastal and Rooster, you know, if I can't get anything more out on the field, then at least I can go into LAVAL Dragon. If I've only got if I've used up both of my Horse Princes, I've only got 2, remember. If I've used them up, but obviously we like to go into 6-star synchro plays with this deck. If I've ran out of Horse Princes, then at least I can go into Dragoon. At least I have something that I can go into. So they're literally only in there as a sort of backup plan. But LAVAL Stennen, he's not a backup plan. He's good enough. You know, if you've got cards in the graveyard, and remember, you can banish the synchros as well if you've made some of the synchros. So like I say, he is worth putting in the deck, maybe running him at 2, but I like I say, I like having the other 2 in there just as a sort of backup plan. But it has to be said, Stennon is good, and he's so good. I want to make a LAVAL deck totally centered around him. I think he's the best LAVAL card, and he's a normal. He's a really common card, and yeah, it's crazy. But there you go, my boys. That is the Fire Fist deck. I mean, it's not totally free, but it's pretty damn cheap. Like I say, so like the best play in the deck, you want to synchro this guy, and ideally you want to synchro in using Kotal. That way you can bring out your Fire Fist Horse Prince. You bring out him, then you can special summon Rooster. When you use Carabao to synchro, he pulls a Fire Fist from the deck, Fire Fist spell card from the deck. Then Rooster, when he's special summoned, you get to pull a Fire Fist monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can use his other effect to swap out one of your Fire Fist cards for another Fire Fist card. So, as you saw, opening with a Rooster and a Tensu, I can still pin his back row, you know, because I can swap out the Tensu for a Gyoku. Also, a good combo is Spirit to special summon Rooster from the grave and then go into a Horse Prince play. But bear in mind, when you summon using when you summon Spirit and special summon Rooster, his effect will pop, meaning you can pull a Fire Fist monster from your deck to your hand, but that is once per turn. So when you do go into your Horse Prince play that turn with Spirit and Rooster, you go into Horse Prince, you special summon a second Rooster, that effect won't pop again, but you can use the secondary effect where he can swap out a Fire Fist spell card for another Fire Fist spell card. So you can do that like twice a turn if you want, if you can go into Horse Prince, but you can't do the effect that pulls a Fire Fist from the deck to your hand more than once per turn. It's only once per turn. Bear is really, really good. I'd love to be able to run him at 3 and then like build the deck around him and just have him constantly blow up opponent monsters and then use Gorilla and constantly blow up their back row. And I've got 2 Gorilla as well. If I've got a second bear or a third bear, if I've got 3 bear, I could do that. I could build something out of that. But that I mean, you know, I still think Ubels should be beating this. I still think Vampire. Well, no, this is quite good against Vampires, but Vampires should beat it. But we are beating a lot of Vampire players. Like I say, there are some key issues with the deck, which make it not very viable. You know, it's not very viable in terms of competitive play. But if you could go in on the box 3 times and get 3 Spirit, yeah, the deck is viable. I think, because I wouldn't be running this. I probably wouldn't even be running the Carabao. I would be running 3 Horse Prince. I'd literally just build the deck around Spirit and Rooster. I'd run Yoku at 3. But this is just a bit of a fun build. Like, you know, this build, I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I've seen a couple of Fire Fist decks on YouTube, and this one I think is just a little bit different, because I'm running Carabao, and Carabao I'm not really seeing much in other decks and other builds, and I'm also running 1 copy of Boar. Also, I'm not running the 8-star synchro. This guy, Kirin. This guy is shit. Like, this guy is absolute trash. When this card is synchro summoned, you can set 1/5 formation spell or trap card directly from your deck. All monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack for each face-up spell or trap card you control. Now, if it was 200 attack, or better yet, 300, like really, for this effect to be any good, it needs to be reducing opponents' monsters by 300 per card, maybe even 500 per card, because we've got so many other cards in the game that can reduce opponents' monsters by more, and I think 100 attack is just so minimal it's not really worth summoning him, because even if you have all 3, that's only 300 attack. So he'll gain 300 attack, he'll be on 23, and say your opponent's playing Maximus or Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon, he's only going to go down to 27, which means we still can't roll over anything. Now, yeah, we could summon him in defense, but what's the point in, getting rid of, like, 2 of your monsters, especially if you've got these 2 out? Well, what's the point in going into, this guy, when if you keep this guy out, you can pop his monsters. If you keep this guy out, you can pop his back row. If you keep this guy out, you've got a 2,000 booty defense, and you can wait until you can get a Kotal, so you can go into a Horse Prince. You got this guy, you'd rather keep him out. You don't, even though he's a tuner, you don't really want to synchro with this guy, because this guy, when he's run over, when a monster destroys him, he can special summon a Fire Fist from the deck. So he's much more useful being destroyed rather than being synchroed. So yeah, you see my point. I mean, I've got him in there because he can synchro with these 4 monsters. He can synchro with them and make the LAVAL Stenton. Stennen. I keep pronouncing his name wrong. Stennen. So it is worth putting in the deck. But you can see how it's working together. I could probably afford getting rid of the Gorilla, maybe putting in like a Cosmic Cyclone or maybe some back row help, some back row assistance. I was running a Hallucinogenia during my sort of play testing phase. I was only running Tensu at 2, I think, at one point, and running 1 copy of Hallucinogenia just to help me survive. But I realised very quickly that the 2,000 booty of Carabao, it's actually enough to sit on, because there's so many cards that, like so many decks, Master Change, Ancient Gears, like the opening turn for those decks, they're not usually going to get their biggest monster out, and if a Master Change does, then yeah, okay, you're going to get run over. But if they can only go into their Drill Dark and then special summon another 4-star, they can't roll over you unless they Mask Change. So yeah, I like this deck. I like this deck a lot. I don't want to play with it anymore. I want to start messing around with something else in the new box. I want to start messing around with that now, and hopefully I'll have another video for you later today or tomorrow. But thanks for watching this video. I know it's a bit of a longer one than we're used to. I was trying something a bit different. But thanks for watching. Take care. Much love, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.